monitoring mission of OSCE in Ukraine, about the activities of the mission, and about what's happening in the east of Ukraine. Thank you. Good afternoon, esteemed friends.
Sometimes we're here so often we forget to thank the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center for everything they do, and just standing at the back, and I'm reminded of how long they've been at this and the incredible unflinching dedication of the volunteers that work here. The translators, we thank you, and also the ability to live stream, because I know that we've been finding out happily that there are a lot of people who watch online. So greetings not only to you two, but to all the people who are viewing this online. And once again, we thank the Ukrainian Crisis Media Center, and especially the volunteers and the founders. Now, I know there's a huge appetite for information on what's happening today, so we'll try and meet your needs, but there are certain things, of course, as usual, that I will refer you to our daily report. So again, events from yesterday will be released publicly either later, well, it will be later today. As you know, our process is the information goes first to the 57 participating states of the OSCE, and then we do a public report. If I may, let me just review what we saw and heard yesterday. So I can tell you that yesterday we were able to go to Bociurkiw for the second time, Bociurkiw, to assess the humanitarian situation in the town. The special monitoring mission to Ukraine noted that almost all the buildings in the center were destroyed or heavily damaged. Also, while there yesterday, we spoke to many people, and what they told us is there's an urgent need for electricity, gas, and water. And also, we saw many elderly, vulnerable people queuing at a distribution point. I can tell you that this was our second time to Bociurkiw in recent days. We were there last Saturday in part to facilitate access for a convoy of 5 lorries or 5 trucks from the International Committee of the Red Cross. And at that time, that aid convoy distributed food and non-food items such as blankets and candles to the locals. And at that time also, we saw that none of the buildings that we saw were untouched by shelling. It's a real catastrophic situation there in terms of damage to the city. And also, I can tell you that generally speaking, in the conflict zone, we also are very happy to be fed information by our friends at the United Nations that there are many cities and especially villages in and around the contact line that in some cases have almost been totally emptied of civilian population. The number of internally displaced people continues to grow to huge numbers, according to the latest situation report from the United Nations. More than 1 million people have been displaced within Ukraine. And if you add the number of unregistered internally displaced people, the number is huge. Now, in terms of what we saw yesterday, so I'm covering a period up till 1800 hours yesterday to the 24-hour period before that. What we saw was more calm, happy to report that. But still, we observed a mix of movement of military equipment, and we also saw stationary or static military equipment such as tanks, and we saw a range of ceasefire violations ranging from multiple rocket launch system fire to artillery fire to small arms fire. I can tell you that we saw MLS, multiple launch rocket system fire near Krasny Luch. This is 56 kilometers southwest of Luhansk. There was mortar fire, small arms fire near Szczastia. Also, there was small arms fire in Wodiany. artillery fire near Karlo-Morkovsky. And then also, you know, we've been speaking many times the past few days about the situation around Mariupol to the east and to the west. And yesterday, we heard sporadic small arms and gun incoming and outgoing near Berdyansk. Okay, now, just briefly before I get into what we're doing today, is that in terms of the mission strength, where we are right now, and I'll refer you, we have them at the back, our newest infographic with our latest figures, is the total number of monitors as we speak is 452. And in addition to that, we have 56 other international staff, mostly here in headquarters, and in addition, very hardworking national staff of 188. So total mission strength is 696. And I'll remind you that we are resourced by our participating states to grow up to 500 monitors, so we're almost there. And reminder that our current mandate expires at the end of March, and the discussions in Vienna on an extension are ongoing. Okay, so I want to, before I get to today, I wanted just briefly to refer you to the statement issued by our chief monitor, Ambassador Apakan, day before yesterday. At the time, he told everyone that more than 10 days ago, he had written to signatories of the Minsk documents to make clear that what is needed from them if the OSCE Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine is to fulfill the task given to the mission regarding monitoring and heavy weapons withdrawal, this is exactly what we need without exception. Three things. One is we need to know what heavy weapons the sides have and where these weapons are now. In other words, an inventory, complete inventory. Secondly, we need to know which routes or corridors will be used to withdraw them. And thirdly, we need to know where they will be located after they have been withdrawn.
І не всі учасники вже дали не всі сторони конфлікту надали цю інформацію, вони мають це зробити швидко. Без такої інформації цілком зрозуміло, що спеціальна моніторингова місія не зможе ефективно встановити, що відведено такі озброєна. І сьогодні повідомляють, дехто з вас це бачив, що спеціальна моніторингова місія уже багато місяців спостерігає за пересуванням важких озброєнь, але є чітка різниця між тим, що ми моніторимо, і те, що озброєння, які відведуть і розташують у відповідних місцях. Отже, ми
by the process in a credible manner. And of course, we look forward to be able to report that these weapons, which have caused such widespread devastation, such widespread bloodshed, have been indeed pulled back. And also, it's important to point out that we require two other very important things in order to properly monitor. And one is the unrestricted movement of our monitors. We have faced delays. We have faced obstructions on both sides. And also, we need a safe and secure environment in which to work. Now, as of today, we're, of course, continuing our monitoring work, as we have been for many, many months. And we are monitoring the movement of heavy weaponry on certain routes, and if possible, to certain endpoints or collection points. Also, I should tell you that it's very important that in terms of the endpoints or collection points, they may need to be visited again and again by the mission for obvious reasons, for credible verification. So the Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine should be allowed to verify the presence of withdrawn weapons in certain concentration points. As of what we saw today, in terms of movement and so on, we will report in our daily. However, you should know that there is certain information that will not be publicly disclosed, at least not yet, in order to maintain some sort of confidentiality and trust building. I can tell you also that today we had more than 20 patrols active in the conflict zone. Yeah, that's basically it for today in terms of what we're up to. Again, we'll have more to report later.
Дякуємо. Добрий день, Валерія Кондратова, Ліга Бізнес.
Валерія Кондратова, Liga Business Inform. You said that not all the parties have provided the information about their heavy armaments, about endpoints, and about the routes. Who has not provided this information, the terrorists or the Ukrainian party?
The business of naming names or pointing fingers, those who have not provided the information know who they are. Everyone knows what they need to do and when they need to do it. I'll just repeat is what we've been saying is the time is now for this information to be provided to the Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine, that once again, in order to effectively, incredibly monitor the withdrawal of heavy weaponry, is that we need those three crucial items. Again, the baseline information, the inventory, which routes or corridors will be used, and also the endpoints or the storage points. And I'm going to be blunt and tell you that it's not enough to be invited to follow, removal process. And part of the way, it has to be complete. I have to make that very clear. And like the Minsk agreements, it's not a shopping list. You cannot pick and choose which parts of the accords you want to actually adhere to, whether it's the ceasefire or whether it's the pullback of heavy weaponry. It's an integrated package. Everyone needs to follow it. They know why they need to follow it. The people, especially I mentioned the more than 1 million people who have been displaced, almost 6 million killed according to the United Nations. We're getting close to 14,000 or 15,000 wounded according to the UN. I think I made myself clear.
Чи є ще запитання? Ще одне уточнення.
Another thing, you said that you have to be provided for unlimited, unrestricted movement. Are there any locations now where you cannot access?
One is there are still certain hotspots which we cannot access or do not wish to access due to safety reasons. And you'll recall that for many days we were unable to enter Debaltseve because we were not given the required safety guarantees in writing. We were eventually provided with that, and we went there. So there are hotspots, if we want to call them that, where we still can't go. The other factor or phenomenon which I mentioned already is that we've been receiving delays at checkpoints or obstructions on both sides. I think it's fair to say that this is not acceptable, that everyone by now understands fully the mandate of the Special Monitoring Mission to Ukraine as endorsed by 57 participating states, including Russian Federation, Ukraine, Canada, US, European, and other countries. So we absolutely require that unrestricted access and safe access.
Hi there, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Durso from Common Space, which is an online publication. There's a sort of Hello. Yes, there's a certain amount of cynicism and distrust about what the OSCE is doing here in Kiev. I think it's fair to say. How do you think? Do you think it's too far to turn around this public opinion? And if so, what are you doing about it to kind of rebuild public trust here in Kiev?
Well, I don't know if I agree that there's widespread cynicism and mistrust. We do a lot of work to help people better understand the mandate of the mission, and I think by now I've lost count of the number, for example, of Ukrainian language interviews I've done with Ukrainian media outlets. And by the way, we really value and appreciate outlets like yours, online publications, and also bloggers and others. But I think that we'll be almost a year here in Ukraine, and the contributions of the mission, I think, are wide known and appreciated. It's not only the daily report, which I so often refer to, it's also that on the ground breaking information that we provide. For example, in the recent days, ceasefire violations. We have now, as I said, close to 500 monitors in Ukraine, 350 alone in the conflict zone. Very hardworking men and women, and by the way, about 50% of them are former military. So with that type of experience, that really attuned eyes and ears, ability to analyze what they're seeing on the ground is proving itself. I'm also, I've just come, by the way, from a regular meeting of our team leaders, and the topic, as I left, was dialogue facilitation. It's one of those things, and very, very crucial and important things we do in the background that doesn't make the headlines to reduce tensions. We've been doing it almost since the day we've arrived here in Ukraine in places like Odessa after the tragic events of May of last year. We're very active in Kharkiv. We're very active, for example, in Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk. You know, I mentioned the over 1 million Ukrainians who are displaced from the east. Many of them, or a good percentage of them, have gone as far as Lviv and other places to the west. And I can say the host communities have done a phenomenal job in terms of hosting them, in terms of providing them for them. And, you know, in the current state of the economy, it's difficult to provide livelihoods for a lot of these people. That can in and of itself produce tensions as well. So what we do is try, in advance of any creation of tensions, bring sides together so they can discuss these things.
Чи є ще запитання? Дякую, Майкл.
Дуже вам дякую. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Наш брифінг за
Our next briefing is within 10 minutes, and we will reformat our audience. Please remove the mics from the rostrum. Thank you.